Hi, I'm Nicole Shore, and today I'm going to talk to you about what teachers need to know about teaching writing. Today I'm going to talk to you about how writing develops, 6 traits writing model, evidence-based teaching practices for writing instruction, response to intervention, RTI, and using Tier 2 writing interventions, motivating and engaging, and the writing workshop. I'm going to talk to you about how writing develops. There's 5 developmental stages of writing. The first one is scribbling and drawing. And that's just a child writing and mimicking things they may have seen with no reason or rhyme. They might be mimicking what they've seen, but it's not any word meaning. The second is pre-phonemic. And pre-phonemic stage is the next stage, which young children start writing uppercase letters. They may put a bunch of letters together randomly that don't make a word and just say, "Oh, what does this say?" Or they may put string together some letters on the refrigerator, the magnetic letters, trying to figure out what they mean. The next stage is early phonemic stage, and they are using only upper cases and writing words with just consonants or 2 consonants to represent a word. And they may still be learning their letters at this time. The fourth stage is letter naming stage. They're using more than 1 or 2 consonants to make a word. They're trying to represent spellings of words, and then they're still using uppercase letters at this stage. The last stage is a transitional stage. This is the writing development stage that they're not using spelling patterns. They're going to write words probably with a couple consonants or more and maybe 1 vowel. You should be able to kind of guess what the word is without having it all spelled out correctly. They're learning about writing punctuation, possessives, and writing letters. And they are starting to understand how words have power and carry meaning. Next is the 6 trait writing model. First one is ideas and content. And this is the writer's main idea and purpose for writing and supporting details. And the ODE criterion is the ideas are clear, focused, complete, and well developed with specific details. The next one is organization. And this is structural, central meaning throughout the writing, organized information and clear sequence and connecting ideas throughout their writing. The ODE criterion for this is the paper moves naturally from one idea to the next with a strong beginning and ending. The third one is voice, and the writer's unique quality of expression is in their writing. The ODE criterion for this is the writing style is lively and interesting and is appropriate for the audience and the topic. Number 4 is word choice. They're choosing the appropriate words to put into their message or the emotion that they have going for the piece that they're writing. The ODE criterion for this is words are carefully selected to convey precise meanings, images, and tone. The fifth model is sentence fluency. And this is, does it have a natural flow? And do they use applications for structure of language through their writing? The ODE criterion is sentences are smooth, varied, and carefully constructed. And the last one is conventions. And this is just the mechanics of writing. It has spelling, grammar, proper paragraphs, capitalization, and penmanship. The OD criterion is correct spelling, grammar, usage, punctuation, capitalization, and paragraphing are used throughout the paper. Next slide is about evidence-based teaching practices for writing instruction. The first thing is provide time every day for students to write. Now with new curriculums and everybody trying to get everything squished in there, sometimes it gets put on the back burner. It's important that every day that children get to write. They get better with regular practice if they do it every day. 1 hour per day. 30 minutes of that will be instruction from the teacher, and 30 minutes will be practice for the students. it's very important to structure it with scheduled time with fidelity in practicing that and anything else. It's also important to incorporate writing with other subjects so they get more chance to work on that. The next thing is teach students to use writing process for a variety of purposes. With this, there's explicit instruction about the writing process, including planning, pre-writing, drafting, revising, and editing. And then to teach different types of writing, which could be narrative, expository, or poetry. Scaffolding is very important during this processing. Moving back and forth through the process is normal and essential to, especially when they're first learning the process. The next one is teach students spelling, handwriting, and keyboarding. Teaching how to hold a pencil correctly and form letters fluently and effectively is very important. To start off with printing, for them to know how to properly do that, so that way that it could go into cursive too if they write correctly. It makes it a lot easier on them to learn cursive. Keyboarding is a skill that still seems to be in the works, trying to fit that in like writing. And but it's really important for them to be able to be effective on using a keyboard for whatever instrument they're using to type stuff on. And spelling and phonics patterns are very important for children to learn how to spell words. And the last one I have on here is create an engaged community of writers. This will have to be like you would design time to plan, draft, revise, edit, and share the work. And there would need opportunity to receive and give feedback to peers and from the teacher. And then the publishing in and out of the classroom. You can publish it in the classroom in a special bulletin board, or you could publish it over in the hallway. It could be in the newspaper. It could be at a local business if you're in a small town, or the newspaper, or even on Facebook. Now we're going to talk about response to intervention, RTI, and using Tier 2 writing interventions. Some ways that you can help with interventions and responses to that would be quick writes. Quick writes can be done at the beginning, end, or middle of lesson. It's to retrieve prior knowledge to a certain topic to make connections across subject matters. It starts with a question from the teacher and the students writing for 10 minutes about everything they know or can connect to the question or to experiences they have had in the past. Quick writes can be developed and extended to written summaries using PAL and TREE. PAL stands for Pick My Idea, Organize My Notes and Ideas, and Write and Say More. And then TREE stands for Topic, Sentence, Reasons, Three or More, Examine, and Ending. These together will help students to become more fluent and reflective writers. When introducing this, it should be shown with an example that the teacher can gradually release responsibility for them to write on their own. Motivating and engaging students to write. The main quality in this would be self-efficacy, and that is a positive belief that a student can perform the assigned task, that they can believe in themselves to do that. Some examples to do this are Write Talks. Ask your students to identify and discuss adults that they admire. Invite the adults to give a Write Talks in your classroom. Ask students to prepare a list of questions for the guest writer before, during, and after the Write Talk. Use examples from your Write Talk guests to examine aspects of your writing that are relevant to your curriculum. The next example would be school-wide photo library. This would be places in the school and in the classroom that you have a photo library. It could also be on Facebook or on a website in a classroom. You could use the photos for different reasons. You can make alphabet books using the images, biographies of people from around the school, how-to procedure books, all about whoever or whatever with the school or an activity. Vocabulary books, poetry collections, genre exercises, compare, contrast, essays, graphs, paragraphs, interviews, news stories, informational booklets, or brochures. The next example is author's chair. Author's chair is a good idea to use for students to share their creations. They can share it in a small group or with the whole class. And then celebrate writing achievements. This is a very important also to help the kids celebrate with goals that they've made or that they finished what they're writing or just that they finished it and did a good job. And the last one thing that we're going to talk about is a writing workshop. There's 5 different phases of the writing workshop. The first phase is teacher sharing time, 5 to 10 minutes long. This is when the teacher shares information to different kinds of writing styles to inspire students to write from the same genre. Phase 2 is a mini lesson. So it could be a mini lesson toward that genre or a different way to gather information to start working on their writing project. And teachers should show personal examples of how to do it or examples of something already done. And you could talk about illustrations, essay writing, forms, mythology, writing conferences with teachers, correspondence, focus, writing short stories, narrative leads, spelling, writing good fiction, dictionaries, information, genre, job applications, punctuation, and style. Phase 3 is state of the class. It's only 5 minutes long. It's a short little time where either, depending on the class and the age level, where each kid would be at, their duties or their place where they're going to be at for that, the writing workshop. The places where they could be would be for pre-writing, drafting, revising, peer conferences, editing sessions, and publishing. That just sets the pace for them to know where exactly they are going to. So the phase 4 is workshop activities, the activities that they signed up for in the state of class. So the first one is pre-writing, drafting, and revising. Step 2 the other group is peer conferencing. The third one is editing with a teacher or a peer. And 4 is prepare for publishing, which is the final draft. The first 10 minutes of that should be silent writing. Next, after the 10 minutes, the teacher can start touching base with students and seeing where they are and guide as needed in private editing sessions. After the first draft, then they sign up for peer conferencing and or teacher editing. Then the final draft is a publishing step. Phase 5 is student sharing time. It's 5 to 10 minutes. This is the author chair time we just talked in the last slide, and it could be with a small group or with a class. Problems that can arise during writing workshop and solutions for these problems. The first one could be peer conferencing could become playtime to visit with their friends instead of working. The solution is set a time limit, like 1 minute or so, depending what they're writing, and that they can only have a maximum of 3 friends or peers that they can conference with. So that way they only have time to talk about business. A second conflict would be conflicts during peer conferencing. And the solution would be to set up groups developing rules involving role playing to set up these rules. And this would be something that you would set up with your classroom at the beginning of the year as you are getting to know each other. So it would be something that would just fall in lines with the rules that you already set up at the beginning of the year. And 3 would be noise level. And the solution would be set an expectation for group noise level. It's important to have noise because that means they're doing something, but they also can't be like really really loud and stuff like that. And that's it. Thank you. Have a good day.